So it's the second time we've recorded this because, as usual, Spud isn't ready. He's some sort of. We thought we had
ready.
it.
I was on
we
the
thought we
wrong
had
Wi-Fi.
it. We'd all the leads in. We'd everything. There was no buzz. There was no hum. Wrong Wi-Fi.
I live in such a massive mansion castle that I have two routers. Or routers. Is it routers or routers?
Depends where you're from. I think it's the same thing. I
Because
think in Ireland it's router when you're actually doing it. Oh, he's routing with that, but you wouldn't say he's rooting with it because that has kind of sexual connotations.
Yeah, because I say router because a router is a tool, electric tool in carpentry or woodworking.
Yeah, I'd have to say router.
It's amazing. I have one. They're so cool and dangerous. They're amazing. What
I would actually say is I'd say modem. I don't think I'd actually say router at all. Oh, there you go. It's router. I did say router.
Router, yeah, there you are.
Yes, so we were talking about Dracula.
Yeah, you were saying about the third episode because that's mad because it's always the third episode that hooks you, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the first two episodes, you see, I really enjoyed. They were set. I see. We can't really talk too much about it because of spoilers. Because someone already gave out on YouTube about us talking about The Witcher and spoilers, even though we actually didn't. Really spoil
game
anything.
Is ancient. Fuck off.
Yeah, and we didn't really spoil anything anyway.
He dies at the end.
Everyone dies at the end. It's that's an interesting thing though with spoilers is because how long is it that you should never talk about?
One day.
Is it one day? Like,
one day.
But it is because like, is it a spoiler to tell someone the end of It's a Wonderful Life? If they've never seen it, you know what I mean?
I've never seen it. What happens? You can tell me. I'm never going to watch it. So.
The world is all put to right and everyone's happy. Everyone dies at the end of It's a Wonderful Life. Horribly.
When is a spoiler not a spoiler? I don't know. It depends on what it is. Like if it's probably 6 months. No, 3 months. I don't know. If you're gonna watch something, you usually watch it.
In TV shows now, they talk about the end of Sixth Sense. You know what I mean? So I mean,
yeah.
And I don't know.
That's pretty old though.
I know, but I mean, it's but that's what I'm saying. When does it become okay? It's totally okay to say that Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father. You know what I mean? But when was that okay to say?
I don't know.
1983?
Maybe 1982? When it's parodied. Maybe when it's parodied, but there's too much to
I'll tell you when it was right. It was when they realised that he didn't say, Luke, I'm your father. He said, No, I'm your father.
I am your father. I said that to Aga the other day. I was telling her about the Mandela effect.
Yeah.
I've told her a bit about it before, and she's like, "No, it's Luke." And I was like, "No, it's not. Watch this." What? But like, she's not a Star Wars fan, so it doesn't bother her.
James Earl Jones remembers saying, "Look, I'm your father." He doesn't remember saying, "No, I'm your father."
That's funny, yeah. But would you remember? You know, it's just one line out of many lines of dialogue, and then there's cuts and recuts and reshoots and shoots.
Thing about that one as well is that out of context, "No, I'm your father" doesn't make sense, and you could see why someone, like say a stand-up comedian was doing a bit, he's going to say, you know, "Luke, I'm your father" or whatever, because it puts it into this. So I can understand that.
Yeah.
So we're going to need a bigger boat, and you're going to need a bigger boat. You can kind of hear both of that when you listen to it, so I can understand. But the interesting ones that I sent you the links of is where it says the title of the video is "We're going to need a bigger boat," and the clip is plainly saying "You're going to need a bigger boat."
Yeah, but that's someone obviously they know what they're doing.
Yeah,
you know, it's like there's a massive video on YouTube, and it's that sounds so ridiculous. In one of the Christmas playlists, the music, there's this huge one. Elvis, It Would Be Lonely This Christmas, and it has like 20 million views. I mean, that's not fucking Elvis. That's Mud. Elvis doesn't sing that song.
Yeah.
You know, but it sounds like Elvis.
Yeah.
So someone is making a mint off of this YouTube video, and it's not Elvis at all.
Not Elvis at all.
It'll be lonely. It does sound like him though, but yeah.
Yeah, it was that thing. I always thought, you know, that song "Freight." The hope we had was much too hide. Kind of came out of Christmas. The game will never be over. I always thought that was Paul McCartney. Always, I never questioned it, and it's like totally obviously not. But just, you know, but like, I mean, is that a Mandela effect? No, just have a shitty memory.
Not.
It's a misunderstanding at some
just
point.
Wrong. Yeah.
But yeah, Dracula, I was like, it was one of those points where I just, I wanted to throw something. I wanted to get Mark Gatiss and hit him full force in the face. And
that's very bad though, because it means that there's something wrong with the writing or the production, because it has to be episode 3 that gets you. Like, you know, I've been telling you to watch Watchmen. Watchmen's brilliant, but I wasn't all like on a third episode. I was like, whoa, okay, now I'm balls.
Well, the difference with this is the third episode of Dracula is the final episode. So it's, it's
okay.
not quite so, and they're all an hour and a half long. So it's essentially the fifth and sixth episode in that kind of way. But it's the first two episodes. See, what do I say about this? The first two episodes are bang on. Apart from it reminds me of David Walliams, which is strange, but I can get through it. The third episode is where it said, how do we take all of this that we've done and just shit on it, and completely and utterly shit on it, and try to annoy as many people as possible by screwing over a great idea.
I think it's like a rewrite or something like that.
See, I'll tell you off air because I don't want to.
There was one I think it was last year or the year before, it was really popular, a BBC one called The Bodyguard, I think, or The Security
Guard.
Yeah,
we talked about that will have to be allowed to talk about that at this point.
Yeah, that's not a spoiler now. And that has a terrible ending because it has a happy ending. It would have been far better if he just kind of walked down to the car and then when like him and all the daughters and everyone
I didn't
died.
even watch the ending because of your reaction to watching the last episode. Because I'd watched it up to then and I enjoyed the opening scene is class on the train. I loved it. I thought that was really, really good. And then there was a couple other scenes where they're in the car and the sniper's shooting down with brilliant. But the love story thing was don't give a shit.
I mean, she's a fucking old one.
And then the last episode was on, and I go, and you watch it, and you're just like, oh, for fuck's sake.
I went.
Right, I'm not watching it. I'm not watching it.
I hated it.
Yeah.
But just because it stank of a rewrite, it stank of something.
It stank of someone going. The writers had this idea, and then some other suit. Higher up said, "Oh no. Yeah. Did you know that Podge and Raj was ruined by a new executive who came into RTE and decided he wanted to completely change it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that was your man on Twitter. Was
RTE producer or something like that, secret producer RTE. That was a great Twitter handle there for a while.
Yeah,
probably been fired by now. The poor devil.
Or works for Channel 4, one or the other. But so it's like a TV show. I'm watching. There's just one that I'm watching, and it's called Servant, and it's one of these Apple TV shows, the new ones. And it's your man M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong. He is one of the executive producers, and he directed the first episode. So it basically means he's lending his name to it. But it's very much in his kind of style. But man, it's so good. I'm on episode. Just finished episode 8 last night, and I don't know what's going to happen, or I don't know what has happened. And usually, if you've done any sort of writing or you've looked into any kind of story structure or anything that you totally know what everything's going to be because it's formula and there it is. You know, it's like it's the only way you can kind of be surprised if someone does something ridiculous and then you're taken out of it because it's just too ridiculous and it's unbelievable. But I've no idea. I've no idea how this ends. I've no idea, and I'm just like, I'm really enjoying it. But the thing is, episode 8, if I get to episode 10 and it's terrible, it ruins the entire thing. You know, even the enjoyment up to it. It's like the whole thing. It's an interesting tweet I've seen about Game of Thrones, which I watched the first season, didn't really like, so I don't care either way. But how quickly that has gone out of people's minds because the last season was so bad.
Yeah, but you know what? I think that'll reverse as people forget about it. Like the way people kind of really love the Lord of the Rings trilogy now. Like the third film, it's not that good.
Isn't it? I haven't seen.
Well, there's 7 endings in it or something. You know.
I remember loving the third one at the time, and then when it came out in DVD, it just going, I don't have the energy to watch that again. Jesus Christ.
And I think there was something like that with The Hobbit as well, because wasn't The Hobbit 2 films instead of 1, or was it 3 instead of 1? And that
I don't know when your man James Nesbitt started singing in the first one, that was enough for me.
But there's this thing about kind of. It's like I mean, I know you will know this. Like when Led Zeppelin were plying their trade and gigging and doing their first couple albums, it was album gig, and they were gigging the whole time during recording of the albums as well. But the critics hated them. The critics absolutely hated them. And then it was kind of with nostalgia that Led Zeppelin became who they are, or became who they became, because they don't do it anymore. And I think we'll see that with Game of Thrones as well. There's other stuff as well, like The Wire. There's a couple of, not a couple. There's plenty of episodes of The Wire that are dog shit.
I didn't like I thought all episodes of The Wire was dog shit.
I really like The Wire, and there's plenty of Breaking Bad ones as well. There.
I didn't like Breaking Bad either. So.
Jeez, you're off. You're fucking
it's
hard
that.
to please, aren't you?
No, it's not. No, it's not that. It's the everyone in it's an arsehole, and I just go, I don't care. You know, it's like it's like I don't like gangster films. Like that's why I don't like a lot of say the Goodfellas or Casino.
See, I like The Sopranos, yeah.
Or
like
The Sopranos, because I go, all of these people are horrible people, and
I know, but they're not, though.
Oh, they are. They're fucking terrible.
No,
They're murderers
No.
and fucking. No, you say, oh yeah.
Yeah, but just because you kill
deep
someone doesn't
inside-
mean you're a bad person, Tom.
Oh, it does.
It
You know, I think
depends.
that's one of the very first things that makes you a bad person.
I mean, depends on what
No,
you're looking for.
it's more. I can't get into the kind of idolization of that type of character that you need to identify with them and get.
Yeah.
I just kind of go, I think you're an arsehole.
Well, see, I mean, that was the whole trick with The Sopranos was, right, we'll make Tony as horrible as we can be, but we'll make him vulnerable because we'll send him to a psychologist. And so we'll see the inner workings of his head.
Yeah.
And that's why people get to like him, or maybe not even get to like him, but kind of sympathise with him or empathise with him.
I suppose the kind of thing what they tried to do with House of Cards, and unfortunately reality really fucked with that kind of show.
That's a series I hated. I gave
Yeah.
that 20 minutes and went, no, not for me.
But what they deliberately did in that is that they've made him as unlikable but unredeemable. Like there's
Yeah,
that
but
whole
it's
idea of, you know, the save the cat idea, so that you save the cat, the character saves the cat, and then people love him. In the very first introduction scene, Kevin Spacey kills a dog.
Rapes
So
the
they've swapped it. You know, spoiler. Not one of the worst things Kevin Spacey seems to have done. I've seen everyone who has said anything about Kevin Spacey is dead now.
Good.
That's horrible. You think really it's good to people who have been
No, of course
allegedly abused by Kevin Spacey, or it's good that they're all dead?
No. No, of course not. I'm just being facetious here.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's. I do like that trick in television though of making someone who's not nice relatable or likable. But like they used to tell us that in like. I did a creative writing thing for a semester in college, and they were like, hurt your characters, like fucking hurt them, make them go through pain and hell, because people will identify with more. And it's not that the reader has gone through alcoholism or sexual abuse or whatever it is that you put them through, but it's just that they can, then they can be more sympathetic, especially to a person who's a douchebag, because then it's like, well, he's a douchebag because so and so.
It's the redeemable feature.
Yeah,
it's like the Joseph Campbell stuff, the hero thing, where they have to get to a point where it looks like there's no way they can get out of this.
Yeah.
And that's the growth of the characters to become greater than they ever kind of envisioned. Which is, I mean, Star Wars is the perfect example of the Joseph Campbell myth story. Like, it's on the money.
Oh yeah, sure. It's like the book was published and then he wrote the script like a couple of months later. Like,
strangely.
Well, him and Spielberg studied together, didn't they? And
wasn't it? And then Oliver Stone was in that class as well. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Wasn't that mad? Like, and then like I think around to the losers I went to college with and went, no.
I wonder, is it just one of those kind of flukes of nature in the sense that three people were at the same kind of thing, or was it one of them got their leg in and liked the other two and so helped along, and it just like, was there a number 4 guy who was equally as talented but they didn't like, so he didn't get a job, like Jim McFuckwit, who's good, no, we don't like him, we're not bringing him in.
Fuck him, man. He fucking looked at my lady.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's possible. Totally possible. Well, of course it is. What am I talking about? I saw it. I was tempted to have a little bit of divilment last night. There was some journalist on Twitter was giving out about how little Irish journalists earned or something. He's like, oh, well, most Irish journalists earn less than 40,000 a year. I get out my calculator and I'm like, well, 40,000 a year is 3,300 euros per month. That's I'd take that to be a journalist. That ain't bad at all. Yeah. And he's giving out, and I was like, yeah, well, the reason that, like, I had something in my head I was going to say to him, was like, yeah, but like, no one can get a job at journalism in Ireland unless you're willing to suck someone's dick, or you fucking know someone who sucks someone's dick in the media that can get you in. Like, it's a closed shop.
Yeah.
So, rant over.
Did you say it to him?
No, I didn't. No, see, that's my thing on Twitter, is that I annoy myself and I need to get off it, because I see people and I'm just like, why am I following? Mute, turn off retweets, mute, turn off retweets, mute. And it's just, and then even like, I know you've done this as well, like you write out a tweet and you go to send it and you're like,
No.
Why? I don't need to see that. It's just negative energy.
It's not even that. It's I don't want to be dealing with this all day. You know, I don't want to like keep what they're going to respond, and then you have to respond, and just go, then it's a whole day.
Like, I don't know who you are. Stop talking to me.
It's like the Grant Morrison thing I posted yesterday, saying like the banishment is to because in Magic banishment is like, oh man, it's the most overplayed thing in the world, where you know everyone just wants to banish all the time. But in his kind of approach, I kind of like, it's just, you know, get rid of distractions, get rid of the things you don't want. You know what I mean? Like to the, you know, invoke the thing you want to the exclusion of all else, rather than this kind of I don't know. It's like kind of trying to do something, but in the back of your mind, you know, your dad's voice is there going, "Oh, you're useless. Get out of my head, Dad. I don't need that."
Yeah, I was, because I was like you. I planned on getting rid of Facebook, but I was keeping it because actually next week I'm going off down the country and I'm meeting one of the lads that I was filming, and it's the only way I can get in touch with him is through Facebook Messenger. And this was going to be the cut-off. I was going to meet him. Going to get his photos and his videos, and then that'll be the end of Facebook. But then my job came along and says, "Yeah, we're going to make you an admin of the Facebook page." And,
yeah.
So,
can you not just use the Pages app then, rather than anything else, or?
Yeah, you still need an account. So what I did is I set up a totally fake account, which is still my name, but it's just totally closed and it can't be found. And then I'm still going to leave it, that page, but I still have to do this one for work. And it's like on one level I'm very happy with I'm able to deal with people a whole lot better now. But like, if I was to do this thing a year ago or 2 years ago and people were complaining on some forum I was moderating, I'd be like, right, fight, let's go.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, hide comment. Comment.
The thing that got me
face.
that changed
comment.
me was when I did the admin of CMG, which is the Chaos Magic group, and it's a nightmare. And it's that, but it was great in the sense of that you know, no one can say anything on the internet that can hurt me, because it's way worse has already been said to me. Yeah. But also just having that distance and being rather than going, I'm not, you know, I don't have to respond to this. We kind of have this kind of feeling in social media that you kind of have to respond or to take away your, I don't know, your social media membership card or something. But that what I've noticed since coming out of Facebook or whatever is that I don't get caught up in things as much. Even though I wasn't replying, you're still kind of, it's there in your feed. There's someone giving out about it. You know, there's someone giving out about, because all Facebook is and all Twitter is people giving out about something. Like, that's essentially it, or selling you something. And you know, I'm just there for the selling now. Come buy my stuff. I won't give out about anything.
It's strange as well. Like, I can't really fathom it out. Like, what's so, like, over on Reddit, I'm on just tons of subreddits, but one is the sleep apnea one, because I have sleep apnea. And the people on that thread are the nicest people in the whole wide world. They're so fucking lovely. It's unbelievable. Like, they're so, like, you go to them with a question and you're just like, look, what do I do with this? Something is wrong there. And like, comments and comments and comments.
Answer you.
Just lovely people with nice answers, wishing you the best, because we all know how crappy it is to have this fucking sleep condition. So they're lovely. However, I had a football betting question today, and I went over to the soccer betting subreddit and asked for a little bit of advice, because I found something that I think I might be able to tweak with, and, you know, I got a system, man. I got a system. I'm going to sell you a system, man. And so I was just asking people, and like the first 5 comments are like, give up gambling, you idiot.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It's like, I just want some advice. Like, just what? Like, you don't have to like, come on. Like, I think, well, it's from knowing you and you putting me onto like the transurf and stuff, and just kind of I can't be wasting my time on negative stuff anymore. You know. Although I mean, definitely you, and then also, but like, you know, years ago, going through a bit of therapy, and that made me change like my kind of sphere of friends and stuff like that. But that's not quite the same as what I'm saying here. You know, that's not.
Well, no, it is. It's kind of it's that thing we're talking about. It's the banishing of the influences you don't want. Like, it's the same. I remember you saying to me that if you are hanging around, or if you've friends, whatever, and you dread seeing them, you have to fuck rid of them.
Yeah, because, they're not fair friends.
Yeah, you know, like if you go, oh, Jim is coming over tonight. Oh, God's sake. Then don't be friends with Jim.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Don't. there's millions of people. Like there's millions. Actually, there's billions of people. And
billions,
there's loads of potential friends out there. You don't have to be friends with people just because you've been friends with them for ages before. They might be dickheads, or maybe you've become a dickhead and you should have dickhead friends only.
That's it, yeah. Which is, probably more likely than we would like to believe. Yeah. You think we become less naive and more worldly and more evolved. We're probably just getting more dickish in our minds, kind of nastier, just kind of less tolerant. And
no, definitely not. No. I'm way more tolerant and easygoing now than I ever was. And I hope I will become more easygoing and more tolerant. I know I'm kind of giving out a little bit today, but
you sound like the most easygoing man I've ever heard in my life.
Today was mad because it started off so badly and then it got just so awesomely good, and then you're like, oh, hey, you know what? Today's Blue Monday. Today's the 20th of January.
Oh, right.
Mathematically or statistically the most depressing day of the year. This is when...
Well, I would say then tomorrow is, because it's all hyped about today, and then when the hype is over, you go in, it's not even Blue Monday, it's just shitty Tuesday.
I was thinking about this because in a transurfing way, then Blue Monday would be like a pendulum, because and it's this kind of ethereal idea that's given power, and kind of the more people talk about it, the more powerful it is, and the more you start believing in a Blue Monday. It's probably nonsense, but that doesn't matter. It still exists.
Well, if it's statistically, is it what's the most suicides happen today or something?
Most suicides, the most divorces. What else is there? I think it was car accidents or something. There's 4 or 5 different things that.
The most milk is spilt. More people are annoyed on Twitter. People unfollow me more today than any other day.
I can't believe I earn €3,000 a month. It's terrible. Fuck off. Jesus Christ! I'd kill for 3,000 quid a month. I don't get paid that near that.
But what was he? How much was he kind of saying that they should get? What was the actual?
Look, journalists and their opinions. They're just.
Sure, doesn't Taoiseach only get something like 55 grand or something like that?
Yeah, but all his expenses and all, so it adds up, doesn't it? No, but
to $1 million.
And the journalists annoy me because it's not all of them, but the vast majority of them are not qualified to be talking about what they're talking about. You're literally good at putting words together. That's what you're good at. If you're a journalist, you can put words together and make people read them and get interested in something you're writing about. That's all you do. You can't advise me on what I should eat. You're not a doctor. What the fuck are you talking about? You tell me to buy a house in South Dalkey. No, you're not a property developer. You don't know anything about the place. You've just been told that you have to have 500 words about this before lunch. Get out of here. You're not important.
But I want 80 grand.
No, but it's this thing about, journalists become very self-important,
I think most people in a position of seeming authority can get that.
Yes, your primary school teachers are a leading example of this. Oh my God.
Are you going to rail against primary school teachers now? Is that some sort of...
No. No, because you told you're being sarcastic.
No, but why primary school? No, say joke aside. Why primary school teachers rather than secondary school teachers? Why? What's the?
I think it's because they're given kind of an what's the word? Everything goes unchallenged with primary school teachers. They just say something and the kids go, okay, I'll do that. And so they're not used to anyone standing. This is why all of the Iona and Youth Defence and all these weird Catholic groups in Ireland, they're mostly made up of primary school teachers, not secondary teachers and not third level teachers.
Yeah.
And I think it's because they're used to people obeying what they tell them.
Right. So they think they're infallible.
So they think They think they're infallible. They think they have authority, and it's no. Look, you're a primary school teacher. You're not a theologist. You're not a religion teacher. You're not a priest. You can't tell. Keep your rosaries off me ovaries.
I remember when we were in primary school, the nurse came in and was doing sex education with us and started going on about, obviously in a covert way, talking about masturbation, but didn't come out with it. It was sort of going, basically saying it was evil and morally wrong and this kind of thing, but saying you wouldn't rub your ear over and over again. I was kind of sitting there, well, I do. It's quite enjoyable to have an eargasm, yeah. But it's when you think about it, you're a nurse, a medically, we assumed, trained professional, giving us a religious view of medicine. It's just like, oh, really? I mean, I'm sure that stuff like that still goes on. Anyway, 25 minutes into it, we haven't got to our topic. But our topic is, we said what we do is meditation. Or at least talk a bit about it. Because you were talking about maybe doing it as part of one of your YouTube... Is it, documentaries? What are you, vlogs? What are you calling them? What are you doing?
I think they're going to be like 30-day challenges, and I reckon I'll do probably 10, 11 over the year, you know.
Right.
And so one of them involves magic mushrooms. The other involves meditation. I think should be one of them because it's something I don't know enough about, and should probably do because anyone who does it seems to say it's great. But
yeah, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with meditation. It's one of the things I used to always say about it. The only thing I get out of meditation is a sore back, but that's just me being very cynical about it. I think one of the main things that kind of people that put off people when they start meditation is that they think that what meditation is that you sit there with an empty, serene mind. And you get the first thing people usually say when they hear about meditation, I can't slow my mind down, I can't stop it. It's kind of, that's the point. That's the point of meditation.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that you're to sit there and have a serene experience. I mean, it takes years and years and years and years and years and years for people to ever get to any of that kind of thing. Or some people get it immediately, as there's always these fucking weirdos. But it's kind of the idea with meditation, the trick to it, if you want, that the big trick to it is that, depending on what type of meditation, we'll just say normal concentration, mindfulness meditation, which is, that's the one that most people will be kind of aware of now because Google loves it and, it's become quite corporate and stuff like that. And you have things like Headspace, which kind of popularized it and all this. And the concentration exercise is basically just you have a focus on something. And when you notice that you're not focusing on it, you bring your mind back to focusing on it. And that's it. And that's kind of, and like most of your meditation is going to be not focusing on the thing. And it's the movement of bringing your mind back to the focus is what meditation is, rather than this kind of idea of having a clear yogi kind of lotus posture, elevated into the kind of the...
But okay, so like... Let's say you have some, I don't know, you have a relationship problem, yeah? Like, is that something you can meditate on?
You could, but that's kind of the different kind of idea of meditate, in that that's more like ruminate on it. That we kind of use the word I have to meditate now, but it's not. That's not really in the practice of like meditation. Kind of really is in the kind of where we kind of mostly get it from is like a Buddhist type thing, where that kind of thing that you could sit there, but like what you're really doing is you're sitting and thinking about it. You're thinking about your relationship or whatever. The idea of meditation is to, in a sense, to stop thinking, or to aim to stop thinking, but not thinking, to stop wandering, to stop your mind kind of doing its own thing, just kind of going off into different tangents and all of that kind of stuff. If you could get to a point of that you were thinking solely about the relationship or the beloved or the person you were talking about, that probably still will count as a concentration meditation type thing. But other than that, it's probably just more rumination or, I suppose in a sense, active imagination or kind of thinking about something.
But how does that line up then with what you said earlier? Because it's like you focus on one thing rather than other things. But what if that one thing is a relationship problem?
Because how can you focus on one exact one aspect of a relationship problem that you would return to? What would it be? What would be the actual focus that is a single pointed thing in it? Okay,
so it's a single point within an issue.
Well, I suppose a good way of think of it, the most common thing is to count your breaths. So you count that. So it's not that you're thinking about breathing. It's not that you're going in and around your lungs or any of those types of things. You're just in breath 1, out breath 2 for the count of 10, and then when you finish, you start at the beginning. Whereas if you were concentrating on your wife, you'd be thinking, oh, well, the different things, there's money involved. Oh, when she said this, and you're kind of going all over the place. It's not a kind of a single point kind of thing. But you could certainly, there is a meta meditation, which is not a concentration. It's a different type of thing. It's a loving kindness meditation. And that would be probably a bit something that you could do, that if you wanted to improve your relationship with your wife. And the idea behind that is that you start, you send love, or happiness, or you see the person smiling, or and you start off. Well, you can start. There's two ways to do it. You can start off kind of with yourself. Send love to yourself. Then you send it to someone who you're attached to. So that'd be a wife or a child. Then someone you're not attached to, in that you don't have an emotional kind of bond to. So that it'd be, someone who works in a shop, or someone who you work with. Just someone who you're aware of. And then you do it to the kind of humanity at large. And then you do it to the universe at large. Or you can start the other way. Start with the universe and work down to yourself, depending on what way you are, because self-love can sometimes be the hardest for people, but for other people it can be the easiest way to start into it. So you're kind of sending love to your wife and stuff, and that will have an attraction, or not attraction, a kind of a knock-on effect in your relationship with that kind of thing. But it's still kind of, you're not doing this kind of rumination, you're not thinking, it's more, it's kind of a more focused. But the meta one would be a more kind of emotional type of, you're trying to generate a kind of a love, which, I mean, of course, is not an intellectual thing, although we can describe it intellectually.
No, I get you. Okay.
And there's a host of different meditation kind of techniques. You different ones you see, particularly in New Age kind of stuff. You have this kind of path working stuff, which is, you listen to it like a guided meditation, or you start in a garden, or you open a door and you go through all of these things, and you get in a boat and you go to a crystal cave, or whatever it is, and all of these things are meant to represent different aspects of your mind. But I don't know. I think everyone's symbols are going to be different. So what you think a crystal cave is and what I think a crystal cave is probably going to be very different. But
mine has meth.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So you go to this crystal cave with a huge pipe.
I don't even know what meth looks like in real life, to be honest. So it just comes to my mind. It's a word association. But probably when was the last time? I've tried to do it loads of times, but it's just, and the guided one. Yeah, your mind is wandering, and you try and come back to it, and you just kind of think on your breathing. But it's like, I don't know why I don't do it more.
I'll tell you why you don't do it more, because it's really hard. It's not, people expect it like, I'm going to be very relaxed, whatever. When I started doing it, it was Zazen, which is a Zen form of meditation. It involves an exact posture, and it's an eyes open meditation, and you stare at a very specific like a dot on the wall or whatever, and you're not counting breaths, you're not counting anything. What you're doing is you're just allowing whatever is arising to arise, but you don't interact with it, you don't grasp onto the idea, you don't engage with it. And if you find yourself going too far, you bring yourself back to the dot on the wall or whatever it is. And it drove me insane. It used to put me in bad, like I would get angry and in bad form with the process. I hated it, and I found it very, very hard to do. And all you're doing, and it was like I got it up as far as I think I could do 12 minutes of it before I would just lose the will to live. So at some, because that's the thing, that people still have this association with meditating, with this being serene, kind of relaxing type thing, and it's like very hard not to think and to meander and to bring yourself back, because it's so enjoyable to indulge in these type things, even anger or nasty emotions or negative emotions that we do. If you catch yourself, particularly if you start doing some meditation, you'll catch yourself doing this kind of indulging in how good it feels to be angry or to be pissed off with someone, and you kind of go, oh yeah, and you catch yourself doing it, and you go, yeah, but I still want to do it. I still want to do this negative thing, I still want to give out to that person who told me off this morning because I have a good answer for them now or whatever. But yeah,
it's is there a way that like this might sound very stupid, but say someone cuts you off in traffic, and that kind of fucks with you for the next hour or two, and it makes you cranky, okay, so for me, that would have been something that would have annoyed me for most of the day, Now I can it happened the other day, and by the time I was home, I was okay about it, because it's just you know what, she's a fucking dickhead, and she'll get wrapped around a tree, and it'll be grand. then it's gone.
It'll be grand because they're dead.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And she'll have deserved it, because she's a shit driver and she's dangerous. That's the way I do it. But like, I know that's a wrong way to think.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, like, should we just totally dismiss that thought and just let her be gone from your mind? Because well, I suppose to do with driving, how can that not affect you? Because, like, I don't know about you, but I want to be as safe as I can be on the road. Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to drive at 50 kilometers an hour everywhere. I mean, I do tend to drive about 10 kilometers over the speed limit pretty much wherever I am.
Right.
You know, because here's a little secret: the police radars aren't good enough. Okay, between me and you. So you're allowed 10 kilometers over pretty much everywhere. But like, if someone like is terrible driver and they cut you off or they nearly cause an accident, like, by me reacting, then I'm showing myself or I'm showing whatever that, like, right, I'm a decent driver, I can react, I'm okay. And I get annoyed because I have a standard that everyone should be at, but, like, you know, adhere to the rules of the road, because, like, I mean, if we all adhere to them, then we'll all be safer and we'll all live, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So with stuff like that, like what are we supposed to do with those thoughts from a meditative point of view?
From a meditation point of view, it would be to witness them first of all, and to not let them spiral into something they're not. It's not to not have the reaction.
Like, you're still allowed to get angry. Yeah.
Like, this is my opinion. Other opinions are available, but absolutely have the reaction. It's not about subduing your natural reaction. It's not about not having emotions. It's not about repression. It's about not letting that affect your conversation that you have with your wife 5 minutes later.
Okay.
It's not, bringing that with you. It's not letting that spiral into an argument that you then have for 20 minutes with that driver in your head, which is so easy to do. Yeah. It's not allowing it to fantasize into the things of, like, seeing her dying or seeing. It's about have your reaction, understand what it is, move on. Yeah. And I mean, I'm not saying that's easy, and I certainly can't do that half the time. Like, but what you find from meditation is that it's almost the 20 minutes or whatever you do a day is training you, in a sense, for the moment when that happens. And it isn't that it's not that it's easier to not let the mind go. You see that your mind is doing that. Yeah. So it's like, so then you have to make a choice to either continue to indulge in that or not. And then it's like that thing we were talking about on the social media. It's I can reply to this dickhead on Twitter, or I don't. Yeah. And if I reply, there's my spiral, there's my indulgence, there is that whole day ruined, or I cannot. Now,
so I suppose, like, there's stuff like, I presume stoicism comes from this kind of.
Recently I was reading a book about stoicism. The guy who came up with it was like the least stoic guy. He was like a total asshole. Like, it was an interesting thing. But yeah, stoicism is just being it's not the idea of that you just you don't get ruffled by anything. And I think, like, I unless you're a naturally someone like that, I think you're only going to cause yourself a bit more pain by not having the reaction, because it's a suppression. It's not like, if it's a natural thing for you to be carefree and think good for you. But if you're not, I think denying that is going to cause you more hardship, because it's like it's kind of get repression in some way, or it's not allowing the release of that, so it's going to come out in a different way. So you go, no, I'm not going to get angry with this woman who's just cut me off. I'm going to get angry with my kid in an hour when he's screaming. It's that kind of. I don't know an awful lot about the Stoics, to be quite honest. It's more just in that, that this kind of passing type thing.
All I know from it is this kind of thing that, like, when nothing upsets you or nothing annoys you, and it's just everything is met almost with a blank emotion. But, like, that's impossible to do, unless it's like something happens, like, that is interesting, I am observing it, and now
it's the spark. It's the Vulcan thing, is it? Like, I mean, and the whole point of that is that it doesn't work, because the only way like, how often did Spock show his human side? Because it was, in a sense, the most logical thing to do at the time. And his crowning glory is when he was, like, the most human, live long and prosper, you know, and has this whole kind of human moment, and so it's the thing we cherish, and you know, above all else, is this humanness, and to think we're kind of like, I suppose, in the exact stoic kind of non-Vulcan response. I don't think it's. If someone is like that, I think it's an act. I think it's a facade.
Yeah.
I don't think they're really like that.
I reckon many people get into meditation and they think that they're going to undergo some kind of personality change or something like that. You know?
But I mean, you can, of course, like you can have a personality change by getting a new job. You can have a personality change by giving up caffeine. You can have, you know, any of these, like, it's not. But you can it not, you know what I mean? It's not a kind of guaranteed.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, I've told you before that like the thing I hate most about myself is that, like, I'm quite I can be quick to anger, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of people are like that, depending on how much shit you've taken that day and bounced off you, and then suddenly the silly bitch in the fucking Opel Corsa tries to kill you, your wife, and 2 children. you know?
Yeah.
But like, so like, oh yeah, look, everything that life has thrown at me today, I've bounced off, reflected. It's been wonderful. The kid's been a pain in the arse, but it's fine. I love him. It's fine. It's great. No problem. And then, you know, 10 other things happen that on a different day could get you down, but today, no, life's great, man. Life's great. Everything's I can deal with. And then and so what is the way to be? Is that, like, because each thing didn't affect you, but maybe it did subconsciously. But maybe it did subconsciously, and then it comes out.
And how do you know? And why? Like, that's I don't know the answer to that question, and it is a question I've definitely posed. Is why does this thing destroy me on Tuesday?
What is it about this one?
And I don't give a shit on Thursday.
Yeah.
Exactly the same thing. I suppose it has to be context. It has to be your physiology on the day. It has to be maybe there's 3 triggers you need to be annoyed about anything, and that's trigger number 1 on Thursday, but it was trigger number 3. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it seems very odd that something. Or do you ever have a kind of a period where you go through, like a week of thinking about, I don't know, a friend from a year ago, or 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or whatever it is, or a job, and you know, and then the following week you go, I was thinking about that all. Like, it's not even relevant to anything. You know, you just kind of get into a kind of a thought loop about something, or an obsession about school, or, you know, or it's kind of, I suppose, a more advanced version of that. You know, when you have a kind of an interaction with someone shitty in a shop or whatever, and then you play that argument thing, but it's just kind of, you do it over something that's a bit more. But again, it's that thing of Tuesday night at 3:30 in the morning when your brain goes, remember this thing you did 22 years ago? Remember that stupid thing you did? Just think about that for a while. Yeah?
I was an awful person with that, but I don't do that anymore, because when that happens now, I put on a third voice and I say, Spud, shut the fuck up and go sleep.
Right. And does it work?
You know what I mean? Yeah, it does. Yeah. But I've learned. But it's only because I went to therapy a couple of years ago that I learned to do that. Because I was an awful fella for worrying about the past and worrying about the future, and, you know, she was, and the thing's, like, it's such a cliche, but, like, you can't change the past, and you can't change the past, so there's no point fucking worrying about it. Because
reality transurfing would suggest that maybe you can change the past. However.
Well, that'd be
nice.
I changed school. I changed those miserable 5 years. But I don't think I changed much else, to be honest. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
The other way of kind of approaching the meditation thing is, and it's kind of, this is definitely coming from a more Buddhist point of view than corporate Western meditation that we have, is the whole idea that your thoughts aren't you.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked about this before, and that it's like, it's that if you're in the kind of thing of finding yourself giving to anger or whatever it is, that think of it in the same way that you would not associate it. You don't think what you hear is you. You don't think what you taste is you. You don't think what you feel in the sensory kinetic type thing. Feel, not in
it looks
emotional.
like you're touching boobs.
Yeah, they're so feeling that way, not in a kind of an emotional way, because we definitely do feel that, you know, our emotions are us. But and just think of it as another process, another sense that's, you know, it's kind of, and you'll see doing that, and again, it's only if you catch that how much of your things are stimulus response, you know, just or what you think you should be responding to. Sometimes you get angry because you think that's what you should do, and if you kind of catch yourself, you go, why am I even angry at this? I don't care about, that happens a lot in kind of social media, I find, when you see a number of people annoyed about something, and you kind of get caught into this kind of, I'm annoyed, and you go, I don't care about it. 2 minutes ago, I didn't even know about it. But now I'm championing it, and I want to march in the streets or whatever.
Yeah. Like the psychologist used to say to me that, like, you're afraid of your anger. And I was like, yeah, I am. And she's, why? And I says, well, because I can go fucking full of fucking Hulk mode and just go mental and say horrible things. Like, I've been in, fist fights and all, and far too many to be comfortable with telling you about, to be honest. But like, and she's like, but anger's an emotion. It's okay to get angry sometimes. It's fine. Sometimes it's warranted. I was like, is it?
Have you ever got angry and someone went, yes, that's the right reaction to the situation? I don't think it happens. Like, even when you're all kind of justified in it, it's still seen as the most negative reaction, though, isn't it?
It might be seen as the most negative reaction, but you can still be right, because you can
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
You can fuck someone out. So, like, if someone is, I don't know, like, someone's been a fucking arsehole to other people, and you're like, and you stand up for the other people and say, you fucking get back in your box and shut the fuck up and be nice to those people, because they're nice and you're a dick. Like, I got angry with you, but I was right, and everyone is like, yeah, thanks for saying that, man, because we were scared, or whatever.
Yeah.
So, she taught me that, anger, it's okay to be angry, but I don't really think I learned how to. I mean, I don't get as pissed off as I used to anymore, but like, I don't know if that's because I'm calmer, or just because I'm older, or if it's because I care less about a lot of stuff.
Or avoidance.
Yeah.
I definitely think my level of compassion has reduced as I get older, which I know in one way is a terrible thing, in another way makes life a wee bit easier. This kind of because when you kind of thinking about them, like, you have to, in a sense, have an awful lot of willful ignorance about the amount of suffering and shitty things that go on in the world to exist. Because if you sat around thinking about it, good luck to you. You wouldn't be able to function. Like, think of the fires in Australia recently and go, like, hundreds of thousands of animals burnt alive. Probably shouldn't think about that for too long. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know, I find that, so the kind of 20 years ago, I probably would have been destroyed by that thought, because I would have obsessed about it, would have been thinking about it, would have been seeing myself from an animal's point of view, alone and scared in the forest, the fire coming in and all this, because it's like, but I can't do that, because it's like that, it's the exact same idea of, I can't answer that tweet because I know where that leads. It's an interesting one that years ago, I used to be quite a jealous person, and it's a family trait. It's one of the blessings of our family, but it's like that. And it was just kind of in relationships, and you get obsessed about ex-boyfriends and all this kind of, all that stereotypical bullshit that men seem to do, and women, let's be honest, to do as well, but it's more of a kind of a masculine insecurity type thing. And I remember getting into a relationship at one point and just going, I'm not doing this anymore. I can't. I can't put myself through this thing anymore. And it was, funny enough, it was very easy to stop doing it. Every now and again, of course, because you're not perfect, a little bit of jealousy raises his head and all that. But that kind of full-on, intense, it was like, it's the same thing. I can't go down that road because I know where that road goes, and it doesn't end up good for me in particular, or anyone. But it's like, if you could then, I don't know why it worked in that way and why I can't do it with other things, because I certainly tried to apply it to other things.
My next question was going to be like, how do you, if you can do it, but this is like, we said this before as well, like, everything is just thoughts, really, and if you can control them, then you're on the right path. And most of the time, you can control your thoughts. You can say, God, I'd love some ice cream. No, I put on 10 kilos over Christmas. I won't have an ice cream. That's a fine thought. That's easy. Yeah. But something like, I think, some example.
Yeah, the kind of the thing, the answer to that, I have an answer to that from like the NLP or the Tony Robbins thing, which is the neuro-linguistic programming thing. It would be that the pain outweighs the pleasure. That's how you can get rid of it. But until the point, it's like smoking. You might know it's terrible, you might know all the things around it, but the pleasure that you associate with it outweighs the possible, probable cancer you're going to get from it. And it's like, so the thing with me and the jealousy thing is that when I copped and I go, this is too much pain, that the pleasure I get from indulging in that jealousy line of thinking is not worth the destruction it causes. Whereas in other things, when I try to apply the principle, I'm obviously not at the level where the pleasure is still more pleasurable than the pain. So it's like I still enjoy the cake too much to be on a diet. Whereas I still, it's so, I go, oh, I know where that leads, and you can kind of intellectually do it. I still want to eat the cake. That's. But I don't know. There probably is some trick, or there is some way of actually.
But there must be, because it's like with AA and with people with gambling problems. They tell them, like, no, you need to swap this addiction for something else. So go mountain climbing or go hill walking or whatever, something that's good for you. Do some exercise rather than go drinking, kind of thing. Which is hard to do because drinking's great crack, like. Yeah. Same with heroin. It's like people give out about it's fucking awful, the fucking heroin addicts. Heroin's amazing. That's why people are addicted to it.
Well, I remember once Richard and Judy, who's like a daytime TV catastrophe for a British TV. But I remember they had someone on one time and they were talking about drugs. And Richard asked the thing, why do people take drugs? Obviously expecting the kind of, people have, problems and they're, and for trying to cope. And one goes, because they just feel so good. And he was like, and then she started describing how ecstasy made you feel brilliant. And he's going like, I don't know, that's not the party line. Don't be saying that. Don't be saying drugs are good. But it was shocking that and almost like me when she said it as well, like, it was kind of going, you can't say that. You're meant to do drugs are bad, But that's it, like, as you say, heroin's awesome the first couple of times, I assume, and then
and then you're fucked.
But I mean, like, drinking's great too until the next day, or any of these things, or cake is lovely until the shame and the disgust the next time you have to make a new belt hole, or you have to buy an extra or a new pair of jeans because you just don't fit into them, or whatever it is, like. But it's like, getting back to the meditation thing, and it's like the 20 minutes that you kind of practice a day, or like it is because it's called a meditation practice. So and it's is that you're kind of training for the rest of your life or the rest of the day and all of these things. And there's a whole kind of woo-woo-ness you can get into meditation that we're like not touching on. Like, there's a whole kind of this thing where it starts with like a thing called stream entry, which is you kind of get to a point where you have a realization about the world or the universe or existence that you can no longer go back to seeing the world the way you used to. And that's kind of stage one.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah, which leads to ultimately to awakening and a number of other awakenings, depending on which model you want to go with. But I've been meditating a long time, and I certainly am nowhere near stream entry. I'm close to so back, still, probably counting to 7 before.
Like the last couple of times I've smoked weed, I've had that. Like, I've had just been sitting there. That was a good while ago, actually. But like, I remember this thought came into me from fucking nowhere, from the ether. And it was about something I hadn't thought about in a long time, about someone who's dead for been a long, long, long time. And this thing just popped in my head, and I went, that's why.
Oh, like the resolution of the thing.
And she was forgiven.
Right.
And I was just okay.
But that's a kind of what possibly happened there is the whole left brain, right brain thing. When you've got a particular problem and you have to distract your left brain, which is your analytic thing, from it, so that your right brain can sort of, it's like if you're trying to think of an actor's name, come up with something so that your other, not think which is why as soon as you put it out of your head, you'll remember what it is. It's that kind of same. So it's probably something in that principle, although I'm sure the state you were in, you might have been more responsive to something. I certainly have had kind of where I'm drunk and I would have a realization and that type of thing. So there probably is some sort of mood altering kind of thing to allow yourself. But I don't know. Or like sometimes you have that randomly on a bus on Tuesday at 2:00. Go, oh yeah, Jesus Christ! I never even thought about that. Like, Michael, he did that. How dare he? Or you have a realization.
I'm an idiot. Oh,
yeah,
God.
Yeah.
I don't
And so
know.
it's only because you're in the state that it seems a bit more kind of
Yeah, maybe. Like I've been watching a couple of things about ayahuasca and all, and I'm just like, oh man, I want to try that. I want to talk to aliens. I want to
Yeah.
talk to gods. Sounds amazing. You know.
It does. I kind of have that as well. That I'd love to do all that, but I'm so terrible on drugs that I just go. I know I'd be sitting in the car going, oh yeah, no, this is horrible. Get me out of here. Oh, what do you mean? I'm 6 more hours of this? Oh no, thanks. No.
Yeah, you would have to be afraid of that, having a bad trip. But like, I mean, the way to avoid a bad trip is to make sure that you're only doing it after you've had a pleasant day, and then you've got no worries,
And
you'll be fine.
you're generally in a good place in your life. It's not more than than your setting, all of these type of things, and don't do maybe not go to the jungle for your first kind of psychedelic experience, possibly.
Don't do it on your own, whatever the fuck you do. Yeah. Jesus. No, but like with the meditation stuff, like I wonder, like after say a 30-day challenge of doing it 20 minutes a day kind of thing, like what is is there a goal you should be aiming for, or is it just that I want some inner peace?
The Zen thing, which starts down, is that it's 100% goalless. You're doing it for the sake of sitting there. That's it. That you're just doing it. There's no, you're not trying to gain enlightenment. You're not trying to have better peace of mind. There's no goal whatsoever. Whereas in mindfulness, kind of, particularly the kind of corporate type of thing, there's a goal of being more mindful, of being more aware, more type of things. But then, whatever way you want to approach the woo end of it, there's the people who are deliberately looking for awakening, enlightenment, for the stream entry, for down to even the whole thing of this idea of the siddhis, SIDDHI, which is a kind of spiritual powers that are brought on from deep meditation and stuff.
Shoryuken!
Well, there's levitation is one of them, and if you ever see any of the transcendental meditation guys, they do this kind of levitation thing, which is like absurd. It's kind of like a bunny hop thing to do in the lotus posture, but it's considered one of the things. But telekinetics, telepathy, all of these things are part of it. But they're considered. The guy who kind of talks about them, the most famous guy, is a guy called Patanjali. He says, ignore all that. If you start levitating, just ignore it. Don't make a big deal out of it. It's just something that happens on the way to, just so.
Yeah.
But it's like, but just because it can be a trap to say it, to kind of. It's that whole idea. If you meet Buddha on the road, kill him. That it's because it's another illusion. It's another kind of form of Maya. It's another indulgence.
Okay.
So that kind of. You can go into any amount of levels with this type of stuff, and there's then you have this thing that I talked about in the channel before, about incubation, which was the ancient Greek type of meditation, which is this kind of idea of, rather than a single pointed kind of, you are trying to incorporate all of your senses into one thing, so that you're trying to be aware of your sight, you're trying to be aware of what you're hearing, you're trying to be aware of what you're feeling, you're trying on the inside, you're trying to be aware of your surroundings. And by doing that, you get this thing that's called a common sense, which is like a kind of an overall sense of these. It's like Captain Planet, heart, whatever. And then it forms into that. Now, I've never experienced that at all, ever. So I don't know, but it's a thing that Peter Kingsley, the guy, talks about an awful lot. And the way you do incubation, his description of it is, lie down, close your eyes, die. So, it's quite simple.
I do it sometimes. If I can't fall asleep, I imagine I'm dead. I don't know if other people do that. I don't know if it's weird. I've never told anyone that. But sometimes I just go, Spud, pretend you're dead. Pretend you're dead. Pretend you're dead. Pretend you're dead.
But how are you doing that? Like,
so
what's the
process?
Pretend
you're dead. Like, you're not moving. You're not moving. You can't hear anything. Nothing can distract you. There is nothing. There is nothing. It's just black. And then I'm gone.
You're already an amazing incubator then.
I don't know. I don't know. So maybe I'm kind of thinking then to form these like 30-day challenge. Maybe I should just do like, it should be like 1 week where I do mindfulness, another week where I do Zen, and then like one of the weeks like, we gotta find aliens here. I want to speak to the higher powers.
I would do the 30 days of a meditation thing rather than trying to incorporate any kind of aliens thing. I'd do that as a separate thing. I think it is a separate
aliens.
thing. I know, but do a 30-day alien thing. Like do 30 days try to get abducted. But I think
that's definitely an idea. I've shown you that one. That'd be pretty. That'd be amazing. Just go up Polish mountains in the middle of the summer and just camp out and say, "Come and get me!"
What if they come and get you though? This is it, you know.
Yeah, and
and it's not what you want. They're not nice aliens.
But we don't know.
They're the aliens equivalent of journalists on Twitter, and they just come down and go, "Oh, well, we don't get enough money for this."
I'm an expert. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I travel around the whole entire universe, and I only get 40 grand. And,
yeah. Well, yeah, that'd be mental, though, innit? If invoking them and stuff. I don't think I'd be into that. I'd be like, oi. I'm over here.
And Grant Morrison has a great. He tries to get abducted in Kathmandu and succeeds as far as he's concerned. So I must show you that. I'll send you the video of him talking about it. It's very good. He's convinced he went to Alpha Centauri or wherever and got shown the wonders of the universe from these aliens. So.
Cool.
And he has a process of how to do it. So yeah.
Fucking sign me up, man. Yeah, take my credit card, Mr. Morrison.
What I would suggest you do for your 30 days, I'd say that you get Headspace, because it's as good as any of that, which is an app. It's as good as any introduction to it. It explains it well enough, gets you into the habit, it's gamification, you get your badges, you get all of that thing. It's super corporate, but the guy who does it, has, like, it's not just some dude who's never actually meditated.
Is this the fucking Sam Harris app?
No. It's I can't remember his name now. Bald guy. I didn't remember them immediately after this goes off. No, Sam, or try Sam Harris. So I've never used it, so I can't recommend it. But I think you have to pay for the Sam Harris one. You definitely have to pay for.
Yeah.
But I've been told that if you email him and say you've no money, he sends you one. Yeah.
See, it's the guided thing. I'm not that much of a fan of, because it's. But I know it's just a fucking ego thing. Is that I don't like being told where I am or what I'm doing. you know.
But the Headspace isn't that. The Headspace, while it's not, it's led. It's not guided. It's not your inner force. It's now this is the breathing section. Concentrate on your breathing.
Okay.
And then every now and then he'll come in and go, "Are you still concentrating on your breathing?" And then at the end he goes, "And now just let go of all thoughts." It's that kind of. And day 1, there's lots of talking where he's explaining the process. By the time you get to day 10, way less talking. And then when you get to like the pro series, he's basically introduces it and ends it. That's kind of it. But then there's a whole other parts of Headspace where you can do 10 days or 30 days on happiness or on stress reduction, and of meditation practices just for that. It sounds like I'm, selling Headspace.
Sponsored by Headspace.
Yeah, loads of other apps are available. Insight Timer is free and it's quite good. It's got loads of free meditations and stuff on it. The cutting machinery is quite good as well. There's a load of different, or just sit down, shut up, look at a dot on the wall for 20 minutes and go insane. But definitely if you're coming to it thinking that you're instantly going to be awakened or serene, or that you're going to have no thoughts, when you realise that your thoughts, that you've wandered, coming back to your focus or whatever, you do it in a gentle way. You never berate yourself for it. You don't go, I can't do it. It's just, there it is. Because that is what meditation is. It's not having the clear mind. It's not having the serenity or thing. They kind of come with it if you're lucky. But it's the knowing that you've moved off, that your mind is doing a thing, and then coming back to it, and not kind of lingering on the thought or interacting. Just let it go. Don't be annoyed with yourself. Don't be kind of, Don't talk. Don't add to the negative chatter in your head. But criticizing yourself.
Yeah. Get rid of the negative, judgmental bullshit that you're having.
And then you'll notice that during the day when you're making coffee and the coffee spills everywhere, that you'll catch yourself before you get annoyed. And it doesn't mean you won't get annoyed, but you'll be aware that there's a moment where your brain decides to get annoyed.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's appropriate, as we've discovered, to get annoyed. Sometimes it's not. And but at least you're doing it. You're aware that that's not just a stimulus response. It's not just a loop. It's not a recording. You're aware you're doing it.
For sure. No, but I think even from like the little bit I know about the transurfing and so on and so forth, other things as well as that, I've definitely learned to let go of stuff a lot quicker. Like, don't really argue with myself and herself. We don't argue that much anyway. But like, even when there's like little small things, why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? It's just little niggly things. Like lately, both of us kind of came to this weird unconscious decision that we both made, that we just stopped doing it, and just like if it started, we just go, it doesn't matter. Like, sorry, you know, we're alive, we're grand, we live in a deadly place, we have cool children, we're okay. Life's cool. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
I don't have to win this one about cupcakes.
Yeah, exactly. There's no point in winning that, because, you know, everyone's great. So,
and also, when you're in that mindset of winning, no one's winning. Everyone's losing. It's like, well, what's that old thing? Do you want to be happy or do you want to be right? And most people want to be right. Well,
yeah, that's true, isn't it? Most people do. Yeah. No, not anymore. I don't care anymore. See, I think this is kind of one of my problems as well, though, is that I don't care about, like, 99.999% of people. I don't care about your opinion. Do you know? It's only people I like or respect.
Or your opinion is helpful to me, gets me where I want to be.
Well, yeah.
Because you disagree with someone, but it can lodge something in your brain. That's the thing.
Yeah. You know?
Well, it's not. Let me see. It's not that I don't care about your opinion. I'm not going to be affected by it negatively if I disagree with you. But I suppose the other way is that you should also probably not be enamored with people's opinions too. Like, it's easy to kind of look at, you know, the nasty people on Twitter, but it's also, you know, you should do that. And there's a positive aspect of that you probably shouldn't buy into as well. You know, it's like just be. Be aware of both kind of things.
That's like, it for me. It's the second one. It's that, like, you have your opinion, I have my opinion. My one matters to me more than your one matters to me, and that's it. It's grand. We can still be friends. It's not a bad thing.
But how do you? I know we're kind of running out of time. But how do you make sure that you're not just staying in a rush, or you're not just, you know, like, where's the allowance of growth through other people's kind of experience that, you know, in that.
I'm not interested in it, Tommie. I'm
not interested in it.
I'm not interested in other people's growth. I only care about mine and my wife's.
But that's what I mean. But, like,
friends.
how are you to expand your kind of ideas about the world if you're only kind of in acceptance of your own kind of opinions about things? Like, does growth happen? Growth does happen through conflict an awful lot. So how do you deal with that without? What's your kind of?
It just comes, man. Just comes. The energy comes, man, and I just go with the flow, and when I'm given, I work with, and it's all good, because I learned a long time, maybe not a long time ago, I just learned that fighting for stuff and trying to paddle against the current, against the tide, won't get you anywhere. Go with it, ride out the wave, and then maybe come back and surf it again, you know?
Right, yeah.
If you want to try it again. There's really no point in fighting against stuff. There's not, like, unless it's a fucking someone comes into your house and tries to.
Well, no, what I don't mean fighting against stuff. What I mean is, like, a difference of opinion where you go, no, I'm not really interested in your opinion, but how. That's kind of assuming that you're always going to be right, though. Like, sometimes. No.
It's not about being
that's what
right.
I'm pointing at.
No. It's not about being right. It's just that. Well, okay, you think, it's like with films and stuff. It's like, okay, well, you think that about that film, and I think this about that film.
Oh, you're talking about strictly about opinions on taste.
Strictly opinions on. On matters. It's not about, like, you know, it's not that Dawkins' opinion is right about something and Sam Harris's is different, so he's wrong. It's that's not it.
Yes.
It's like, well, Tommie, what do you think of that book? And you say da da da, and I say da da da, and that's it. It's over.
That's it. Yeah.
Move on.
Oh, you didn't like it? Well, that doesn't affect my enjoyment of this. That's it.
Absolutely not at all.
Yeah.
No,
I get it.
Although I think it's weird you didn't like Breaking Bad.
Why? There's plenty of things that I'm sure I like that you don't like.
It's very good television. That's why, really.
I just found it very boring and dragged out. But I mean, it's like all of these things can be in the mood that you kind of you're first presented with it, or, you know, you wanted a comedy that day and instead you got Breaking Bad, which I suppose is kind of a comedy in places, whatever. Can't like everything. It's like Pink Floyd. I'm sure they're wonderful. I just don't know an awful lot about them, you know.
You don't like Pink Floyd?
Well, it's not that I don't like them. I have no opinion because I've never spent any time with them. I'm sure they're quite...
Go and spend time with Pink Floyd, man. Wow.
We'll see. We'll see. My music taste has changed so dramatically over the last couple of years. I used to be all rock and, you know, guitar and all that. Now it's like electronica with female singers, and it's like the least amount of vocals the better. It's just because it doesn't engage my brain, and I don't want music to engage my brain anymore. I want to because I want everything to switch off.
Okay,
That's
so you
kind
want early Pink Floyd. You want Sid Vicious.
All right,
Sid
okay.
Vicious, Sid Barrett. What was his name?
Sid Vicious.
Sid Vicious.
That's a different band.
Sex
Sid
Pistols.
Vicious.
Yeah, the early stuff. You want before he went cuckoo bananas. You know.
Yeah, no, I will. I know, like, I mean, I know some Pink Floyd. I haven't totally lived in a hole my entire life. But, like, I mean, I don't know in the way, the way I know Led Zeppelin or the way I know fucking the Beatles or any of these, I wouldn't be.
Yeah.
That's it. Right, that's about our allotted time for today.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.